What's going on, guys? Welcome back. This is the only setup you need, is the only setup you have to master, and you can become profitable as long as you follow the rules, as long as you follow the actual setup and enter when the signal is there. So we're gonna have a setup and we're gonna have a signal combination. The setup is the chart pattern, and the signal is gonna be our entry to either a long or short. I'm going to be showing you guys some examples right now. I'm going to show you two examples that happen back to back coming in. What you have to do is I am on the NQ Futures 1 minute chart. You can probably do this strategy on any single ticker, but most likely I do recommend a highly liquid stock, or if you want to do stocks, for example, like Apple, Tesla, SPY, everything. What you have to do is wait for the first 15 minutes. This is going to be the 15-minute orb, which is basically a 15-minute break and retest. Coming in right now. For 6:44, this is going to be the first 15 minutes, all right? Opens up at 6:30, and when the 6:44 candle closes, that is going to be basically the first 15 minutes, all right? And when the first 15-minute happens, you have to go ahead and draw a little, I would say a few points worth of zone on the highest point of the 15 minutes and then on the lowest point of the 15-minute, all right? Now, personally, I don't use a line. I use kind of like a little zone because it's not going to always be 100% exact. But coming in, what you're looking for is more of a this type of play, not a this type of play. This one, you can see how the candle broke. And yes, even though it did reverse, but that is not the setup. If it breaks and holds under the zone, it becomes invalid. So that means it broke, but it did not go for the retest. Now, if this happens, this does not mean that the setup is not going to work. Sometimes you just have to wait for the signal, which is going to be this candle. But let's see what happens. Okay, it breaks it, reverses. When it reverses, it's like a timer that resets. We're gonna reset it, and we're gonna see if it goes for another retest. So another break, another retest. Now, when it goes into the zone, the signal is gonna be this. Once it goes for that retest right there, okay, when I show you guys right here, once it goes for that retest right there, then now we're looking for the signal. The signal is this. When it goes for the retest, we look for the next candle to close above the recent candle. So you can see how this wicked above this candle's high, but it didn't close. It closed actually below. So what we're looking for is a candle to close above the recent candle's high. So what I do usually when it comes in the retest zone, I just start marking out the high, all right, which is going to be this one right here, and then we just wait for a candle to close above. Boom, this candle closes above. Personally, what I recommend is go for 40 points with a 20-point stop. This is just my personal opinion. That for me this works the best. This candle was pretty big for around 58 points, and it was most likely because it's a very volatile week. It moves a lot, but normally 20 points stop is a pretty good stop. If you want, you can have it stop down here and aim for 1-to-1. But me personally, I just aim for a 1-to-2 risk to reward, and I just call it a day. When it comes to your take profit, that is completely up to you. Here is the setup, break, retest. Here's the signal long, boom. Now it's up to you. Now you want to stop down here, you want it down here, and you want to aim all the way to freaking Pakistan, all the way up here. You know what I mean? Me personally, I go for 40 points no matter what. For me, it's a more easy process to follow with a 20-point stop. Bang, that's a Friday setup right there. Thursday, this one was actually very, very clean. Okay, coming in, all right? What you're going to do? You're going to look for the first 15 minutes, okay, which is going to be up to this 6:44 candle. And then what are you going to do? You're going to do the same thing like how I said earlier, all right? You're going to mark out a zone on top. Then you're going to mark out the zone at the bottom. Now, here's the thing. You can see how this candle completely broke up. Now, you're probably like, bro, weren't you just saying the 6:44 candle? Which I was. But I want you to notice the difference. When it was a 644 candle, that was the lowest, and the next candle just completely reversed. So it never broke under that. Look at the 644 candle, but 645 candle, and then it reversed. So this is the only time where you're gonna actually use this as a zone. That's the only time. So if the 645 candle closes above the 644 and then it reverses, boom, you use as a zone. So that's going to be the first 15 minutes, high and low. And you can see it broke right here. But this is why you wait, because it never went for that retest. This was invalid. Boom, 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 boom. Broke. It held above. Came in for that retest in the zone. Okay, what happens now? When it comes in for the retest into the zone, you mark out the high, and then you wait for a candle to close above the recent candle's high. Boom, it closes right there. Enter long, aim for right there. You aim for 40 points. 30 seconds, 940. Boom. This one, you would have got it right at the top. That's why you can't be greedy or anything. From experience, 40 points is good enough to where either the market's slow or it's not. 40 points is a good amount. And boom, that's it. How simple was that? This is what trading is. Patterns, setups, signal, long. The pattern is breaking retest. The setup is breaking above the zone. Going in here, the signal is closing above the recent candle and then long in and boom. And now the same thing for the short. Pretend this was short, it would have broke under, went for the retest, and would have went down. I have more videos about this on my YouTube. And if you guys want more setups, you want real trading tips and tricks, real psychology tips that will help you when it comes to real trading, subscribe, like the video. I promise you, you will not regret it, especially as a beginner.